as you have the material and you find access to it and you start reading and working with it, uh, you have to develop your own system for making notes. And if it's just a short paper, maybe enough to have them in writing on paper. But if you go further and the projects or the writing projects become bigger, there are also options such as Evernote or Microsoft OneNote to collect and organize information and notes on the different sources. It's also possible to use a word processor like Word, because the different subjects and subtopics you can define, you can format as a title, a subtitle, and so forth. So you can have all those titles and put in information on each subject in there, generate an index, table of content, generate a search to look for a particular information. That's also an option. I've often used that in the past, a Word file that actually grew very lengthy with all the information that I had collected. And because you can search in words and because there were many titles and subtitles, I could relatively easily find what I'm looking for. But it's up to you. The important is that it works for you and that you keep collecting information, summaries, quotations in such a way that it's there once you need it as you start writing. In doing this, in collecting notes, there is one important warning to make, and that has to do with plagiarism. It's is it the worst thing? Maybe it's the second worst thing you can do in academic work. The worst thing is straightforward fraud. You invent data that you never actually collected. Plagiarism is right up there. It's a very serious academic offense. You'll fail the course. Your thesis will be rejected if you get caught. Plagiarism means that you use in your writing text that's from a different source. It's someone else's work. But this is not recognizable. It's not clear that it's a quote or that you're paraphrasing someone else's works. That can still be considered plagiarism. It's not enough to just change some of the words. If you quote something, if you use the information, the argument, the train of thought of another source, you need to acknowledge that needs to become clear in the text. And here is what can happen in making notes. You make a quick summary of what you've read, and in there, some of the wording, some of the phrases actually are almost quotes. And once you start writing, you don't remember this, and you don't recognize this anymore. And so you take what you think is your summary, but it's actually too close to the original text. That you can just copy and paste it into your thesis. That's something to be aware of when you make notes. It's better to take quotations into your notes so that it's clear that these are not your words but the other author's words. Then that you sort of paraphrase, summarize, and actually it's still very much the words taken from the other source, and yet you're going to incorporate it into your thesis, not remembering, not recognizing this anymore, as if this where you're writing. That too is plagiarism, and it's judged just as harshly. So be aware of this when you make notes, that it's very clear what's from the text, and what are your own thoughts, your own additions, your own reflection on this. And when you write your thesis, whatever is taken from somewhere else, whatever is borrowed, needs to be acknowledged, and there needs to be a reference for it. So make sure you get this right.